on infrastructural development.
Let's talk about the fight against corruption. I know that, yes, you say that you've done well in that area as well. But as much as you say that, but is the government overlooking or discountenancing the complaints that some say that, yes, they want the government to fight corruption, and that if anyone has misappropriated the country's funds or public funds, they should do the time. But what about the complaints that they have, that it seems to be one-sided, due process and abuse of law?
You see, whenever you fight corruption, you expect corruption to fight back also. And like I always say, there's a proverb, where I come from. A man who has no wife, his in-law can never die. In other words, if you are not exposed, you have no access to public funds, you can't be probed or prosecuted for corruption. Now, the argument I would love to hear is that, is there anybody today who is being prosecuted for corruption that you say really there was no basis for it being prosecuted? And we say that if there's anybody in the APC that you think is corrupt, please come forward. And this is why we are very happy with this whistleblower policy. Because with whistleblower policy, it made the distinction between APC or PDP. And it's working very well. Within the very first 2 months of this whistleblowing policy, we were able to recover 8 billion naira and 160 million US dollars. Now, so when people say it's one-sided, they tell me which side that you want us to probe.
What's your impression about when they think that maybe the government was a bit reluctant to perhaps let the weight of the law take its course on those who are perceived to be close to government? For instance, they say it took almost forever before the SGF's case could be looked into in spite of all the allegations.
Well, you see, yes, because when we make allegations, it has to be seriously investigated, especially when it's at that level. And the moment
but it has not been by the police.
Pardon?
It has not been investigated by the police.
No, you see, nobody is stopping the police from investigating him. But what is being done is an administrative, panel which has been set up by government, and at the end of which, if he's found guilty, or if then probably the police might come in. If he's not found guilty, you can't expect the police to come in. But really, the police is not, prevented from investigating anybody, whether you are serving or you are in government, or whether you are serving or you are not serving.
So what's happening to the Presidential Committee's report?
We are waiting its report. We are waiting its report. I think I was told that the Vice President was with the President before he traveled, and it's very likely it was one of the things he discussed with him.
Okay, just quickly, I would like us to focus on one of the areas which you directly oversee, which is information and culture. One of the things that a lot of people believe, one of the areas they believe the government hasn't given attention to is the entertainment industry, which has, which people say has hardly seen a recession, even though the entire country has been in a recession. It seems to have been doing well. But that is despite or in spite of government's lack of support for the industry. What precisely, because the government promised that they were going to fight piracy and also ensure that they were able to access some funds, as it were, if they needed loans. What is government doing in that area?
No, I think it's not correct to say that government has neglected the entertainment industry. Even before I became minister, I think between the Ministries of Finance and the Ministry of Budget and Planning, for whatever reason, there were some funds that were being given to the entertainment industry. I think about 3 billion, if I'm correct, either 5 billion or 3 billion funds. But the issue about the entertainment industry is that you must first understand it. And what we have done the last 18 months as minister is to study that industry. What are the defects in that industry, and how do you cure those defects? Found about 5 major defects in that industry. The first is that we have very weak laws when it comes to protection of the intellectual property. The second is that there's lack of capacity in the industry. The third is that there's lack of infrastructure. When I call infrastructure, I'm not just talking about power, I'm talking about cinema halls, I'm talking about theaters. Then there's lack of access to funding. Now, so what have we done in respect of this? The first thing we did was we signed MOUs, first with the British Council. With that MOU, we were able to train 40 festival managers in Nigeria so that they will know how to turn festivals into businesses. That is ongoing, and the next step after the training is that they are going to be attached to major festivals all over the world so that they can see how it is done. 2, we've signed also another MOU, which is with the Tony Eluma Foundation, and which has led to the creation of what we call the Task Force on Creative Economy, because the intention is to graduate from creative sector to creative economy, because we found out that more often than not, the creative industry does not understand business, doesn't understand creative industry.
Okay, we'll take it from there in a moment. Pardon me, we need to go to break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, you were saying that those in the creative industry don't understand business.
They don't, no.
What does that mean?
You see, because you see, the creative business today, I'm talking about the films industry, I'm talking about music, I'm talking about, media, I'm talking about television. You see, you have people who are gifted, who can put stories together, but they're not businessmen. So they can't have business model. And today, the creative industry, it's not about creative people alone. You need very good lawyers, you need very good accountants, you need technology, you need portfolio investors. So that's what we are putting together under that creative task force, creative economy task force. And anywhere in the world today, for the creative industry to thrive, you find out that you need those people. Take music, for instance. Music is about, you see, people don't make money today just from records alone, from concerts, they make from endorsements. And so these are areas that we are looking into and we're putting together.
Then what about the media? Does the media understand the business of media?
I don't think, no, not really. You see, because, and this is what's going to happen by the grace of God when we digitalize. Now, channel owners like you busy yourself only with producing content, while the signal distributors will transmit. And that way, you'll be able to concentrate more on producing, contents.
Then how do they get paid?
No. Good. You see, you get paid by advertisers. You see, one of the fallout of digitalization is going to be that we have to put in place an evidence-based, audience measurement system. Today, what we have is also rule of the thumb. We have what you call Oracle. Now, again, you see, advertisers are supposed to be the main financiers of content. That's what happens everywhere in the world, because it's about eyeball. With 24 million households in Nigeria, then if you have very good content, people will watch your channels, and then advertisers will go there. But what we have today is just like I say, rule of the thumb.
One more thing, Alaji. Are we going to see in the future where public broadcast outfits will be funded by public funds, and then the private ones, yes, they go source their funds either through adverts or things like that?
No, I think what we are going to witness with digitalization is that whether you are a private, channel or a public channel, you would need to get good content to be able to survive, because you would get. Of course, I'm talking, of course, about free to air. I'm not talking about cable. I'm not talking about pay TV, but I'm talking about those who today are going to provide, contents and are, free to air. And today we have about 30 channels which are free to air in Abuja. But of course, we're in the transition period. We do what we call simulcast. In other words, simultaneously we broadcast digital and we also broadcast analog. But by the time we switch over completely, channels will have no business transmitting anything. They will just concentrate on content production.
Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture, thank you for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
So that's the show today. We did invite the People's Democratic Party to be part of the program, but clearly they didn't make it. But we thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Thank you for your feedback as well. I'm Maokwe Ogun.
Many thanks indeed for watching. I am Gimba Umar.